The one thing that I have found interesting is the confusion, if you will, between PGA of America and PGA Tour. And
I'm still confused by that.
it's confusing because on one hand, they're two entirely separate organizations, have like zero internal connection, even though their players played each other's events, yada, yada. They are 100% not the same thing, though they used to be. Okay. You guys want to know how we got there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did a little deep dive last night.
Let's hear this history.
All right, I'll take you down a little road. But I feel like in order to fully understand the landscape of the organizations behind not only just professional golf, pretty much all of golf, we're going to take a trip down kind of the historical memory lane, if you will. And it all starts with these dudes whacking a ball around with sticks out in the middle of Scotland. Of course, golf.
We're going way back.
We have to.
Let's start with humans, actually.
It was cavemen. They're like
There's dinosaurs running around.
well, that's where a golf club comes from as a club. Just like, you drag your caddy by his hair and like have your club.
I can see in the comments now.
Big dinosaur
Humans
bone
and
club.
dinosaurs were not at the same time.
Back in 1754,
Definitely
Dinosaurs were around.
Definitely.
Yes. The Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews was formed and became the very first governing body of golf. And they decided, hey guys, we need some rules here. It's getting a little out of control. Everybody's just, hitting the balls around the sandy slopes here in Scotland. We got to formalize things. In 1860, they decided, hey, let's hold a golf tournament. And what did they start? Hold on, let's dig through the pile. Hold on. Here we go. Here, you hold it up. The Open Championship. We had our first major. 1860. You know what I mean?
Yep.
See what we're doing here?
Third time's a charm.
Yeah. That was held in Prestwick, of course.
British Open.
Thank you. It's the British Open. I'm so glad you did that. A little bit of time after that, golf starts catching on in the United States. The USGA is formed in 1894 because they said, hey, you know what? If you guys are making rules and you guys are doing all that business, well, then the United States needs a governing body as well.
Fair.
And so essentially what they did is made a duplicate of the same thing and called it the USGA. And the very next year, they started the U.S. Open. We now have two majors as of 1895.
Who's that signed by?
That was the very first U.S. Open winner, Bryson DeChambeau, from 1895. Yeah.
Is that really Bryson's signature?
Yeah.
No, we forged it before the show.
And it says, keep it salty on there.
Oh, that's
Isn't that kind of
awesome.
fun? Yeah.
Can't believe you didn't know that.
Sorry.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing.
I can't keep up with all Dan's swag that he gets.
The very
Every
first
place he's
U.S.
going.
Open, played at the Newport Country Club, had 9 players, 18 holes, and a trophy about the size of a teapot. That was the first U.S. Open. Okay, yeah.
So when they said U.S. Open, it was just 9 dudes like, I'll play.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because if it's open to anybody, right?
That was all of the golfers there were.
It's
all
like-
9 golfers played.
Could you imagine it's like all their first time golfing too?
6 of them it was.
Yeah. And one guy's like, hey, I'm now a U.S. Open winner. Yeah. That's going to be important someday, I imagine. And now I get to be scraped into a trophy for the rest of history.
That's like getting in Bitcoin early.
Right? Like buying a pizza.
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Again, we're trying to figure out the PGA of America versus PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're not there yet. In 1901, the PGA of Great Britain and Ireland, GB&I,
Gibby.
yeah, was formed. And what they decided, we have all these golf courses popping up. Well, we need people who know need to know how to run these things. And they officially started classes and certifications to teach guys how to run golf courses and all that. And the U.S. in classic fashion said, hey, well, then we need one too. And in 1916 was the formation of the PGA of America. Yeah.
America! USA!
And in that very same year, they launched our third major, the PGA Championship.
Wow.
Yes.
You're such a good Vanna White over there.
Look at you.
That's so good.
Valhalla White. If you will. Thank you.
Look at this guy.
Yep. So basically, what they were representing the club pros, the teaching pros, all of like kind of building the staff and the workforce behind this growing community of golf courses that were just exploding all over the place. Well, here was the thing. They got the PGA Championship. These club pros are like, hey, this is kind of fun to compete. We should like kind of start cruising around and playing against each other. How fun would that be? So the PGA of America started hosting tournaments, and these club pros started driving around, playing in these tournaments, playing against each other. And it was the beginning of touring professional golf. As time went on, they even started their own organization within it to now allow these guys to start doing it full time. And we had ourselves, what was it called? The Tournament Players Division of the PGA of America. Yeah, kind of interesting. Well, along this time, right around there, some guy goes, well, wait a second. We got the US PGA of America guys, and you've got the PGA of Great Britain and Ireland. What if we see whose guys are better? Yeah, okay. Well,
It's a long travel, so they probably should only do it every other year, though.
you know, that they didn't conclude that quite yet, but at least the seed of the idea that maybe they should try and do it landed, if you will. Let's see, where'd the guys? Oh, Samuel Ryder. Samuel Ryder. See how this is all coming together, guys?
I
know.
see where this is going.
Yeah. In 1927, he was like, hey, we should like see who's got better ones.
Right.
You know, our guys versus your guys. And so began the very first Ryder Cup. And what they decided, okay, PGA of America, because this guy, Sam Ryder, he sold like seeds. He was like a seed importer or something. He didn't know how to put on golf events. So PGA of America was like, well, hey, whenever it comes to the US, we'll put that one on. And then the PGA of GB and I, they're like, well, when it comes over here, we'll just put that one on. And so became the early ownership of the Ryder Cup, and why the PGA of America still to this day puts on the Ryder Cup and owns the US rights to it. But the PGA of GB and I, they didn't keep ownership that long. For a while, they still don't have all of it. Turns out they weren't awesome at putting on golf tournaments because they didn't have a major. You know what I mean? Okay, I know. We're still moving along here. Shortly after, the U.S. was dominating so bad with Great Britain. It was to start, it was only Great Britain, which meant they had guys from England and Scotland. We were destroying them. They're like, well, hey, what if you guys include Ireland? Maybe if you have like a bigger pool,
Right.
that'll help. So in the late 1930s, they include Ireland. And just as Ireland is about to come over and play in their first Ryder Cup, World War II pretty much broke out.
Oh, no.
So it took 10 years before the next Ryder Cup could happen. But when they did, Ireland joined. And the Ryder Cup team was now known as Great Britain and Ireland versus Team USA. We won a bunch of those still.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Did
did.
they win any?
We were dominating 18 of the 22 events together
Nice.
were won by the USA. During this time, apparently 3 majors wasn't enough. So you get some guys, right? Let's see here. Let's take a look. We got, here we go. I got it. While professional tours were just taking shape, Georgia amateur named Bobby Jones and financier Clifford Roberts dreamed up something timeless. They built Augusta National in 1933, and the next year hosted the Augusta National Invitational, renamed the Masters in 1933. You got it? Yep. Okay, good. We're
Another
good.
flag. Let's go.
Yeah.
When you said Sam Ryder was the guy who made the Ryder Cup, I thought for sure like Tim Masters was coming around or something like that.
But here's the interesting part. They said, we don't want this to be affiliated with any governing body. So this is the only major that is completely owned by the golf course, by the organization, and the property itself, with zero affiliation with any of these other national golf organizations. We now have our 4 majors and the Ryder Cup. Here's the weird thing. At this point, the touring players are still underneath the PGA of America, but there was nowhere for the women to play. In 1950, the ladies say, well, we want somewhere to play golf. All of this stuff that's going on, PGA of America, all this stuff, had no room for ladies. So in 1950, 13 women got together and formed the LPGA, which is a standalone organization with zero affiliation to the PGA Tour, PGA of America, or any other PGA Tours, still to this day. I always thought it was like the women's side of the PGA Tour.
Yeah, it's all separate. Is that
It is a completely separate organization with zero affiliation to the PGA Tour.
so? Is that
How is it's just like McDonald's America, and Ladies McDonald's?
Well, apparently,
you know,
I don't get
like the term Professional Golfers Association is too universal, and everybody gets to take
so?
it.
Is that the same thing with the Champions Tour then?
We'll get there.
Okay.
I know.
If Liv just named
Jumping
theirs
ahead.
PGA
Yeah.
Crazy or something.
Sorry.
So yeah, they start their completely owned, fully independent tour, but along the way, launch their own series of majors. They've got the Chevron Championship, with the LPGA owns, the KPMG Women's PGA, which is in partnership with the PGA of America. They've got the U.S. Women's Open in partnership with the USGA. They have the AIG Women's Open, which is in partnership with the R&A. And then they have the CME Group Tour Championship, which is back once again owned by the LPGA. They have 5 majors.
is there a Ladies Masters too?
Not recognized by the LPGA, which is a standalone organization that has nothing to do with the PGA Tour. Okay, this is where it gets exotic, and I kind of love this part.
This is where it gets complicated.
Yeah, in the 1950s to 1960s, golf TV, it hits prime time. We've got the big names: Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, the big three, as they call them. They were pulling TV ratings that matched the World Series.
Wow.
Which World Series?
The
ones in the
baseball
50s.
The
one.
baseball World Series. Okay.
Is there another one?
I thought there was a couple World Series.
The World Series of poker, like maybe
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe
The
that's what I was
Little
talking
League
about.
World Series, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they determined, they're like, hey,
Softball
why are we
World Series.
run by an organization that's teaching club pros how to fold t-shirts in the pro shop when we're out here brokering TV deals, sponsors, and competing against each other? So these 3 spearhead the way to say, we want our own breakout organization. We're leaving the PGA of America. And that's when they formed a separate organization called the Tournament Players Division, but the PGA of America still demanded to own it. So like, we want to break away. We're not in PGA of America. We're not club pros anymore. Like this, we've been doing this our whole life. They break off. They're their completely own thing. They hated it. They're like, why is your board voting again on what we're doing?
Right.
So in 1975, 25 years after the LPGA was formed, they completely broke free and renamed the tour the PGA Tour. A completely non-affiliated, has nothing to do with the PGA of America, has nothing to do with the LPGA, USGA, R&A, all these other Masters, you name it. They became their very own standalone entity. Yeah. Okay? Well, as golf is still on the rise, Team Europe is just getting crushed at the Ryder Cup. I mean, look, we got Gary playing, we got all these guys, well, whatever. No, he's not in the Team USA. Jack Nicklaus says, hey guys, this isn't interesting. Nobody likes watching it. What if you guys just lump in all of Europe and maybe people will tune in? And they're like, are you serious? Like, you'd let us do that? And he was like, yeah, I mean, we can't lose. Like, this is not even fun anymore. They lump in all of Europe. And in 1979, we had the very first appearance of Seve Ballesteros. And now it became a real competition. We had something. Still owned by PGA of America and owned by PGA of GB&I. Okay? Yeah. Well, as time went on, they're like, guys, you guys suck at putting on events. You're no good at this. So they started the European Tour, and the European Tour was getting pretty good at putting on events. They're like, hey, well, we'll help you put on this event. We're good at doing it. And slowly over time, they just took over ownership of the Ryder Cup. And now you got the PGA of Great Britain and Ireland mad because they've just lost this gigantic tournament. They're like, yeah, but you couldn't put it on anyway. What do you want us to do? It's not our fault. They're like, so fine. European Tour is taking 60% ownership. We'll give PGA of Great Britain and Ireland 20%. And then they gave 20% for fun over to the Confederation of Professional Golf. So it's kind of divvied up between these entities.
Now, is that only when they're playing in Europe?
Correct. Only when they're playing in Europe. So PGA of America retained their ownership of the United States rights. And then,
So a couple of weeks ago, PGA of America put it on here.
Yeah.
In 2 years, everything else you just said puts it on over there.
yeah, the Ryder Cup Europe LLP is the owner and responsible for that. And it's actually one of the biggest funding sources for the DP World Tour, which, by the way, the European Tour in 2022 changed its name to the DP World Tour because they were the sponsorship deal with the Dubai shipping company, DP World. That's why it's called the DP World Tour.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's like if they called the PGA Tour like the FedEx Tour or something like that. Yeah.
Totally. Or like the DHL Tour, whatever.
UPS.
Yeah, I know. Over the course of the time, other tours started kicking off. 1966, the Canadian Tour launched. In 1980, the Senior PGA Tour launched.
Are those unaffiliated?
Those were now the Canadian Tour was completely on its own. And then the PGA Tour said in 2012, hey, let's partner. Maybe we could work something out. After 1 year, they said, screw that, and just bought the whole thing. And then it became PGA Canada Tour. But here's the great one. They also launched the Ben Hogan Tour in 1990, which went on to become the Nike Tour, the Web.com Tour, and now is what we know as the Korn Ferry Tour. It was originally called the Ben Hogan Tour, and that was designed merely for the fact to create a pathway for players to make their way into the PGA Tour. They owned it the whole time. Then, here in the last 2 years, they took PGA Canada, they took PGA Latin America, merged them, created the new PGA Americas Tour, which is the feeder tour to the Korn Ferry Tour. And once you play through all those and you retire, you can go play in the Senior Tour and have a great time. There's a whole bunch more here. We're not going to even go into it. Like, none of these are part of the PGA Tour. Like the Sunshine Tour down in South Africa, that's the feeding tour into the DP World Tour, started in 1971. The Japan Golf Tour, 1973, that started. They're on their own. They're affiliated with nobody, but they have some partnership events. Then launched in 1995, the Asian PGA Tour, which is not affiliated with the PGA Tour, just to add more chaos and confusion. However, until 2022, LIV Golf put a massive investment into the Asian PGA Tour, and now they have ownership stake in that. And here we land in 2025 with Ryder Cups, all these majors, and still to this day, the PGA Tour owns 0 majors.